Today, we're going to deconstruct a really critical vulnerability in the SmarterMail platform. So if you or your company uses this software, you're going to want to pay very close attention for the next few minutes. Let's just dive right in.
I want to kick things off with a pretty direct question, especially for any IT admins or business owners listening. Is it possible that your organization's main communication hub, your email server, is just wide open to an attack right this second? Well, the threat we're talking about today makes that a very, very real possibility. And here's why. This vulnerability has been slapped with a score of 10.0. Now, in cybersecurity, that's the highest score you can possibly get on the common vulnerabilities scoring system. It's not just bad, it's the absolute worst case scenario. A 10.0 is basically a flashing red light signaling maximum danger. So let's really dig into this perfect 10 threat. Singapore's Cybersecurity Agency, the CSA, they're the ones who issued this high-priority alert, and we're about to break down exactly what that warning means for anyone using SmarterMail. First things first, what even is SmarterMail? Well, it's a pretty popular email and collaboration platform for businesses all over the world, and the CSA has put a huge red flag on it, flagging a critical security flaw that's now being tracked as CVE-2025-52691. So what is this CVE thing all about? The short version is, it's an unauthenticated remote code execution flaw. I know, that's a mouthful of technical jargon, but stick with me, because we're going to break down why those few words are so incredibly dangerous. So here's the really crucial part. Remote code execution, or RCE, basically means a hacker can run their own programs on your server from anywhere on the planet. They don't need to be in the building, they just need an internet connection. This is the digital equivalent of handing them the keys to the entire building. So how do they just waltz in and take the keys? Well, the vulnerability is what's called an arbitrary file upload flaw. The best way to think about it is this. Imagine your server has a loading dock door, but that door has been left completely unlocked. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can just walk up without a key or an ID and place a malicious package inside. That's what unauthenticated means. No login, no password, zero questions asked. And this chart really puts it all together. You see the official CVE name, that perfect 10.0 score, and which versions are in trouble. But those last two columns, that's the real scary part. The vulnerability is RCE, and the attack vector is remote, unauthenticated. That specific combination is a total nightmare in cybersecurity, because it means the flaw is both super easy to exploit and can cause the maximum amount of damage. So, what does this wide open door actually mean for a business? Let's walk through the absolute worst case scenario if an attacker decides to take advantage of this and strolls right into your server. Once an attacker is inside, it's pretty much a free-for-all. They could be stealing all your sensitive emails, deploying ransomware that locks up all your files, or planting their own backdoors so they can get in whenever they want. But the biggest danger, the one that keeps security pros up at night, is what they do next. A compromised email server is the perfect launchpad for an attacker to move deeper or laterally across your entire internal network. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is the official warning, straight from the Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore. They say an attacker can upload files to any location on the server. That level of control is exactly what makes this a top-tier DEFCON 1 kind of threat. Okay. We've spent a lot of time on the problem. I think we all get how severe this is. So now let's talk about the most important part, the solution. The good news is there is a fix, and there are some very clear, immediate steps you can take to get your server secured. It really is this plain and simple. If you are running SmarterMail build 9406 or any version before that, you are vulnerable. End of story. The patch that fixes this whole mess is in build 9413. So, if your version number is 9413 or higher, you're protected from this specific threat. So, here's your action plan. Step 1, go check what version you're actually running right now. Step 2, if it's one of the vulnerable ones, you have to update immediately to at least build 9413. But honestly, the best advice, what security experts would tell you, is to go for step 3. Just upgrade to the latest stable release, which is build 9483, to get the best possible protection. So, how did this all come to light anyway? And what's the single most important thing to take away from all of this? Let's wrap it up by looking at the disclosure process and your final marching orders. You know, this is a fantastic example of the security community working exactly as it should. The flaw was found by a researcher named Chua Meng Han, who then disclosed it responsibly to Smarter Tools. This gave them time to actually build and release a patch before the vulnerability was announced to the public. That coordination is absolutely crucial, and it protects everyone. All right, let's just boil this all down one last time. This is a critical 10.0 vulnerability. An attacker needs 0 credentials to use it. Thankfully, a patch is ready and waiting for you. And while, as of now, there are no public reports of this being used in the wild, the risk is just way too high to wait and see. The message could not be any clearer. You need to update now. And that brings us to our final thought for the day. This particular fire has been put out, which is great. But in the world of cybersecurity, there's always another one smoldering on the horizon. So the real question isn't just about this one flaw. It's about how your organization is preparing for the threats we know about, and more importantly, for all the ones we don't.